Hello, beautiful, and welcome to the Moms Talk Sex podcast with me, your host, More Yelvington of Morph Transform Into You, where I help you step out of trauma and reclaim your sexual power. I'm so happy that you're here listening, and I'm honored to have the beautiful Brianna here with me today. Hi, Brianna.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here, and I'm so excited for this conversation. You guys, this is a gem because Brianna is an amazing coach, and she's going to share all her expertise with us today. And I'm so excited for it. So, how about you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do, and we'll
Yeah,
go from there.
perfect. Yeah, I'm Brianna Carey. I am a relationship and intimacy coach, and I have 15 years of experience as a sexual health educator as well. Um, my husband and I, we've been together for 17 years. We met in college and we work together, and we have two kiddos that are 8 and 4. So we keep busy with them. Yeah, just me in a nutshell.
I love it. And when you say sex educator, is that in the school system? I'm very curious.
No. So I wanted to be kind of a trailblazer in the school system. I went to college to be an elementary educator, and with the thought that I would change and revamp the sexual health education program. I quickly learned there was a lot of red tape and politics in that. And I was like, okay, that's not how that's going to happen. So I'm going to teach women about their bodies that we don't learn in school. And when I
Yes.
teach them, then they're going to be able to teach their children because now they feel empowered in their knowledge and they're going to know how to navigate these conversations with their kids.
I love that so much. So, I know you don't do this anymore, but what did that look like, or how did you even get to that point wanting to do this kind of work?
Yeah. It kind of like happened upon me, this opportunity. And so I actually attended um, an in-home women's, it was like a ladies' night, and it was with a previous company called Pure Romance. So I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh, familiar.
That's what I did for many, many years. And so yeah, being the educator at heart, I did a lot of outside self-educating. They also did a great job bringing in a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, sex therapists, OBGs, just a lot of like resources for us to learn so that way we could educate. Because we were just talking before we started recording about how when we have nights with our girlfriends, we have these conversations already. But what I love is that I get to bring the actual like education to it and answer the questions of like, well, why do I experience this? Or why does this happen? Does anybody else experience this? And like normalizing those things. And so, yeah, I did that for over 15 years until I transitioned into what I am now doing.
Okay, so what does that transition look like? Like, what is the difference then between what you were doing then and what you're doing now?
Yes. So I'll just give background of like how I got into this because it started about 8 years ago. So we had our first kiddo in 2015, and I had a natural birth, but I did have a second-degree labial tear. And it was like only, I say only 3 stitches. So I go to my 6 week appointment. My midwife does my exam, says everything's healed perfectly, and I am good to resume normal activities. I was like, okay. And it just really one of my soapboxes that I can get on, I'm not now, but is how the 6 week appointment becomes synonymous with you get to go have sex now.
Right.
And so and that's where I feel like a lot of like I guess contention happens in the relationship is because physically, emotionally, mentally, the mom is not ready, but they start to feel guilt like they should want to or do it for their partner's sake. And then, men aren't educated on what that actually means. And so there's just this whole thing that we talk about. Um,
Yeah.
so I had this all clear from my midwife, and we waited a couple more weeks before we even tried. And literally, the joke, just the tip, it hurt. It was excruciating. It was like more painful than giving birth. And I was like, get away, like, what is happening? So We tried a few more times, and probably I was about 4 months postpartum when I made another appointment with my midwife saying, like, things are not right. Can you like check this out? And she's like, no, everything's healed perfectly. You're great. Just maybe have a couple glasses of wine and use some lubrication so everything feels good. And like I said, I was a sexual health educator. I literally sold lube for a living. I knew to use lube. And so I was just astonished that this was the medical advice. There was no talk about how to take care of my scar tissue. There was no
Right.
talk of pelvic floor therapy, like nothing.
Wow.
And so I went home feeling really broken, um, questioning like, is this what my life is going to be like? Like I can't have sexual intimacy with my husband because it's so painful. And like, so that's kind of where this started to take take
That's all.
take form. Yeah. And the idea of this, I started researching. I was like, no, there has to be answers. What is going on? And so, yeah, that's where it began. And then we had our second child. And then, of course, you have two kiddos. And then, like, you're really feeling disconnected because you're trying to tag team and like one person taking care of one kid, one person taking care of the other. And you just start drifting apart and almost feeling like roommates,
Yeah.
and you just see each other in passing. You're like, hey, okay, bye. And so we're like, there has to be something about, and so basically we found out that there was nothing for parents on how to nurture their relationship while they're navigating this new journey of raising a family.
Yeah.
And so we're like, let's do that. And so that's
I love
how we
that.
got here. Yeah.
So I'm curious, would you mind sharing like how did you, because you had another kid, right? So how
Mm-hmm.
were you able to heal that? Just, or what steps did you take for the women
Yeah.
listening? Because I'm sure you're not alone. And I know a few girlfriends of mine that were in the same place where there was no answers. There was like, take lube,
Yeah.
drink some wine. I was like, that is not a solution. That is not a healing.
No.
You're telling me to numb myself and numb my vagina in order to please my husband. And that is not what I'm here to do. I'm here to be
Yeah.
my best self, right? So I'm
Yes,
curious, what,
exactly.
how were you able to have another kid after that?
Yeah. So I just started really leaning back on my resources and my knowledge about the female body and you know, taking it slow, communicating a lot with each other. Like, okay, so I would say like I need to get reacquainted with my body first before you come anywhere near it. And so there was a lot of mutual masturbation. So we're together and we still get to be together intimately. You can still touch each other, but like I'm getting, and you can also do this again before you introduce your partner to it, like just explore your new body because it changes. And then a lot of times I would use just a simple bullet vibrator to massage around the scar tissue as well, to really help break that up. Plus, it's reawakening those nerve endings and sending happy signals instead of like pain signals. And so that's the other thing. I'm like, my body remembered the trauma of giving birth, and so it remembered pain, not pleasure. And you have to remap that for your nerve endings. And so a lot of just exploration, masturbation, and then mutual masturbation so you can connect with your partner. And then eventually it'd be like putting his hand on me and just breathing and allowing my body to feel safe with them. Then letting them use a vibrator because, again, vibration helps to relax muscles. And what I discovered I had was vaginismus, so the involuntary spasming of the vaginal muscles because of that remembered pain. And so vibration is so, so powerful because, again, it's increasing the blood circulation. So it's helping to increase the arousal. It's helping to awaken those nerve endings. There's literally so much to it. And then, it feels good once, after a while. So, and yeah, and then when introducing him, it was literally just like insert just a little bit, hold, let me breathe, and then kind of just, easing into it that way and just releasing expectations of what penetrative sex is going to look like or what sex is going to look like for the foreseeable future. and allowing yourselves to explore and navigate the newness of your body again and feeling comfortable in it. So,
I love that so much. And I love that you said the birth trauma,
mhm,
right? Because I feel like when we talk about sexual trauma, we don't really know the scope of what that is. We think it's just rape or just abuse, which is not. Having a really bad birth can totally be sexual trauma, right?
mhm.
Doing that next step after giving birth could be sexual trauma, right? It's everywhere that your sexual organs are feeling in trauma and they just need that help and support. So I love that you had the tools to deal with that and to heal it, and to now that you're teaching and sharing it, I think is amazing.
Thank
So
you.
you were telling me before that you and your husband actually do this together, right?
Yeah. Yep, we do.
So how does that look like? Like, how do you separate like work life, relationship life, real life? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. Um, that phrase, like, find something that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Like, I know it's cheesy, but because it's something that we're both so passionate about. So my husband is a licensed professional counselor. He's had his own private practice for over 8 years. And so it was kind of a natural transition for us to start working together. Um, because I would bounce ideas off of him and, we would like share resources and things like that. And we are teaching from our own experience.
Yeah.
And because, like I said, there's not really a lot of stuff out there about the couple during this time. It's a lot about the mom during the fourth trimester and what she experiences. There's really no support out there for dads at all. Um, and so when we were talking, it was like, couples need both perspectives.
They do.
And so it was just very natural for us to transition into that. Again, we're always experiencing life ourselves with two young kiddos, and trying to stay connected. So we've created our weekly check-ins, and we're just very, very intentional about the time we do spend together. Um, when we're having a work meeting versus having a date night, sometimes they overlap because it's just,
Yeah.
again, our passion and things can just be inspired in our conversation. Um, but what we do make sure we don't talk about, especially on date nights, is not talking about kid stuff and schedules. Like if we
Yeah.
talk about something that's inspiring, we go with that. But we really make sure that when we're having a date night, it is about us and not about schedules or not about the kiddos at that time. So
I love that. So maybe you can share with us some tools that you guys use to keep that fire going, to keep the connection going.
yeah. So, like I said, we have this weekly check-in guide, and we do have that as a free resource where it walks you through how to make your relationship a priority again. Because, again, we were talking about how sometimes when we have kiddos, they become our priority, and then our relationship gets put on the back burner, and it really needs to be reversed. So, it needs to be self first, then relationship, then kiddos. And I know that ruffles some feathers, but the research supports it as well. When you are fully resourced, you get to show up in your partnership as your full self, and then you also get to show up as your full self for your kiddos, and they get to witness their parents in a loving, supportive, healthy relationship, which they benefit from. And so for us, every Sunday night, we sit down, we go over our calendar, what obligations do we have for the week, so that way there's no miscommunication. Like, I told you I had to go to work at this time, or I had an event at this time. No, the kids have this. And so that can, cause a lot of like friction. Um, we meal plan. We plan out breakfast, lunches, and dinners for the week. And that way, again, oh, we have a really busy night on Tuesday. Let's do a crock pot meal. So that way, like, nobody's stressing about what to make, or we're not going through the drive-through every single night of the week. Um, so just trying to be really intentional. And then we plan our dates. Okay, so we have these times open. When are we going to move our body together? We either try to take some sort of workout class, yoga, or just go for a walk around our neighborhood or in the woods. We just moved to Northwest Arkansas, so we're super excited to, be able to hike and bike and do all the fun things. And so we plan that, and then we also schedule sex. And I know that is not sexy. People are usually like, but I want it to be spontaneous and in the moment. I want it to be like the Notebook where he throws me against the wall. And it's like, okay, that's great. And if you're not mentally in it, sometimes for women, we need that mental preparation. Um, I can get on a whole thing about that, but it helps. You're like, okay, it's on the calendar, and you can make it look like however you want to, but you both get to plan for that and have an evening that you know you're connecting. And then we also have another night of connectivity. So it can just be maybe we do a massage, maybe we do a bath, maybe we just, cuddle and read a book together. Um, but some other connective activity for us that's not solely like sex focused, but then we also, and if it leads into that, great. Then you can have that spontaneous desire kick in. Um, but just being really intentional with our schedules is what has made a huge impact on our relationship. So we can both show up fully for ourselves and for each other and for our kids.
I love that. So you do Sundays is the schedule part of it. And then do you
Mm-hmm.
do one date a week or one date a week and then schedule sex one time or like how many times a week would you schedule sex?
We schedule it at least once. So we know sex
Yeah,
is happening at least once that week. And then like I said, when you have like, some spontaneous moments here and there, we both work from home now, which is nice. So if he has like a break in a schedule and
right.
we're feeling it, whatever. Also dependent on where I'm at in my cycle. So we have
Right.
that on the checklist too. Like, where are you at? Know what you need and how your partner can support you in that phase of your cycle, which is super important. And then I want to say too that we always end our check-in with some sort of like connective activity as well. So it's not all just business. It's
Right.
us engaging with each other. So it's not so just regimented. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. And I also have noticed that like when you have those connected times and you have time to be together, even if you're doing something that's, scheduling or whatever, it brings that intimacy back and you actually want to be more together and have more time
Yeah,
together. And so that really brings it up and brings more sex into your life.
exactly. Yeah. The
I
more you
love
have
it.
it, the more your body desires it. So,
Exactly. Especially if it's really good.
right.
And if it's not good, then, reach out. We'll help you
Exactly.
make it feel good.
Yes.
Well, reaching out, where can we find you? Where can we hear more about you or
Yeah.
even you?
So Instagram is great. So it's Brianna, Brianna, Carey, Carey. There's underscores between all of those. And then intimacyevolution.com is our website, and Intimacy Evolution is our podcast as well. So you can come check out some more tips over there. And then we do have some groups that are getting ready to open up. So I'm doing a women's group, and Mark, my husband, is getting ready to open up his men's group. So that will all be on our website too.
I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was great and
Yeah.
so informative. And I really feel like you're connected to a lot of women's and moms out there that feel the same. So thank you so much. And
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll see you, tune in with you again next week.